So a few weeks back we had a viewer post a question about the powered speakers that we use and maybe sort of why we use them. And this is just, if you will, a follow-up video to that question. So we are rather agnostic when it comes to using powered speakers or passive, and it's really just whatever gets the job done. Powered speakers, just like passive, they're tools. They're tools of the trade, and some tools work better than other tools for certain situations. So in our inventory, we have, it's included in the line array, we have, I want to say 12. We have 12 powered speakers, and we have 12 passive speakers. The powered speakers are all used primarily for mid and high. Now the passive speakers, we have 4 dual 18s and we have 8 of the Yamaha, the CM series monitor speakers. So powered speakers have been around for quite a while actually. And it probably wasn't until about maybe 15 or so years ago that the manufacturers started putting Class H amplifiers in their speaker cabinets. Now Class H is, as far as weight and power wise, is a lot better than the Big Iron, the Class AB series. So on a Class H you could get almost double the power at half the weight for an amplifier. So a lot of put these Class H amplifiers in their speakers. They did real well, but you really didn't have any DSP that you could use. So now comes along Class D. Class D, in my opinion, changed a lot of things in how powered speakers were actually utilized. So our line array speakers are all Class D, and they allow us to select how many speakers or if you will modules are in a cluster. It does real well. Now the DSP that is on our HDL 10A speakers, they actually have a little bit more control over the sound than our RCF NXL 23As, which is our current line array speakers. Now the NX 45As that we have, basically speakers on a stick, we use those for smaller shows. They do excellent. And there's one thing that's common between all of these powered speakers is they have limiters built in. Some of them have thermal, others have RMS limiters. Definitely a big positive over passive speakers. And not that you can't limit a passive speaker, but it takes a little bit more effort and usually more math to set limiters for passive speakers. So it's been really good just to be able to plug in the power and plug in the signal cable to a powered speaker and you're off. Now with powered speakers, with their ease of use, if you will, and the convenience of setting them up, I don't want to say these are downsized, but they're sort of maybe a couple of clicks backwards on them. They are quite a bit more expensive than a passive speaker, and also because we have gone to a lot of powered speakers, we've had to get a separate, if you will, tub or a bin. It has all of the power cords that are for the speakers. We keep them in these bins. And on top of that, because they're powered, we need to get power up closer to the speakers. So what this has also meant is that the number of power cords that we have has gone up quite a bit. So there's more power cords, which means more weight. And when I'm sure everybody knows that copper can weigh a lot, especially if you've got a lot of speaker cables and a lot of power cables. Our weight, due to all the power cords, the extension cords, has gone up quite a bit. And for our line array system, because we need to get power up to the speakers, we've had to get a couple of 50-foot power cables with Edison plugs on one end with a power con on the other. And because you don't want to have an extension cord tied off somewhere up in the cluster of speakers. So when you see like a lot of our videos or even some of the pictures, the power situation is it comes directly into the cabinet and then it's daisy chained to the other cabinets, but there's no break from where the power comes into the cabinet to the point where it gets the power. So part of one of those lines that's coming down the speakers is the power cord, and it's going directly to the power source. So I mean, if you're looking at getting possibly a line array, you may need to be looking at how are you going to power those and how are you going to power them safely by not having any type of breaks, if you will, in the power cord between the array and the power source. So in our inventory, the subs that we have are all passive, and they're all being driven by Crown Macrotech, the i9000 amplifiers. This has worked out really well for us. It was much more cost friendly to run the subs as passive and have separate amplifiers for them. Not saying that powered subs are any worse, they are definitely not, but they are very expensive. So for us it was just cheaper just to run passive subs with separate amplifiers. And as I mentioned before, on the Yamaha CM series, we use most of these for monitors. And because they're just used for monitors, we really didn't see a need to have powered monitors. And it's a lot cleaner for the stage, just having one cable run from the amplifier, let's say to a speaker, let's say for a particular monitor send, instead of having to run a speaker cable and, a signal cable and power cable to a speaker. A lot of the shows that we do, there are multiple bands, and a lot of times the band members don't exactly stand where the last band members were. So we're usually in a situation where we have to move monitor speakers around to accommodate the band. And it's a lot easier and a lot cleaner if we're just taking care of the speaker cables that are attached to the monitors when we're moving everything around, instead of having to manage a signal cable as well as a power cable. So it keeps it clean, and also because bands may be going on and off the stage, that we're trying to avoid any kind of trip hazards. So it's just easier and a lot more cost effective just to have, for us, just to have our monitors be passive. So for a lot of the shows that we do, we run powered speakers along with passive. Said all of our subs are passive, so in the big shows, if you see the line arrays, and if you as well, when you see the center speakers that we have sitting on the stages, all that stuff is powered. All our mids and highs are powered. Okay, well, I hope this helps. We really believe strongly in powered speakers, but as I said, we use powered speakers for certain things in our sound system and passive for others. And I know that our situation may not be the same as maybe other people that are watching this. So anyway, that's how we do it here, and I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.